Hey everybody, I'm going to be talking about something a little different today. We've been doing a little too much Doctor Who the last few weeks, so I thought let's break aside and talk a little bit about Fusion Patrol's ideas. And when I say Fusion Patrols, then sort of mine, but it's a group thing at times. I don't know about you. I love science. And I love hard science fiction, too. I really love to sit down and read a science fiction book that goes into the nuts and bolts of the speculation of how things could really be. But, as you've probably noticed over the years, science has not been so good to science fiction. Because if you look back at the Golden Age, well, John Carter of Mars, or Ray Bradbury's Martian Chronicles, or Heinlein's Red Planet, right? Been a long time since I've read that one. But Mars was a very different place, and we know scientifically now that, well, it's just not like that. And this is true with so much of science fiction now. That all the things we thought would be cool, frankly, are proving to be more than a little problematic. And that is good from the standpoint of our advancing our knowledge, but sometimes that does get in the way of telling a good story. Now, I'm not necessarily in favor of just wholesale throwing it aside, but I can still love a good old-fashioned, just sort of stupid space opera kind of story. And you can tell exceptionally good stories about humanity and our place in the universe in a story that may not be entirely scientifically accurate. So, this is one of the reasons I love old science fiction TV, because let's face it, most of it is really, really bad science. And yet, you can still tell the compelling stories and enjoy the adventure, which is what I really like more than anything else. Today, I just wanted to tell you about this book I have been reading, Old Mars. And it's been edited by George R.R. Martin and Gardner Dozois, and I hope I did not mangle the pronunciation of that name, D-O-Z-O-I-S. I believe that's Dozois. It's a series of stories, I believe 15, by relatively famous authors who have taken up the premise of writing about Mars that really doesn't exist. The Mars that had Martians maybe living on it in the time of mankind, ancient civilizations. Perhaps they even still exist, hiding in the wilderness, and man's colonization efforts during that time. It reminds me a lot of the setup that we had in Bradbury's Martian Chronicles, where each story is different and doesn't always present the same unified history of Mars, but at the same time, interesting tales. This is my book review. I'm going to recommend this story to you. I found it at Half Price Books, which is a shame, but it was still in hardcover, so it's not too terribly old. And that's it for today. We'll be back next week with something different.